Hello everyone, thank you for joining. I am Jisary and I welcome you to my channel where I do all different kinds of creative content. So it happened. After many months of drawing every day, I totally lost my motivation to draw. For a few weeks now, I have been browsing my upload plan and it feels so hard to motivate myself to create the art pieces I need for my ideas. So I thought to myself, how about putting my own advice to the test? In my Artblock video, I shared a few tips on how you can overcome Artblock and find motivation to draw again. So this is what I'm going to do. I decided to take away the pressure and just draw what I want, following some general keywords. I chose the words flowers and girl. And I didn't give me any other requirements. Not trying to be efficient or fast, not trying to make something really special or use anything new, no new techniques or brushes or anything. Just do what you want and spend as much time as you want. So, I started scribbling. I wanted to keep it simple. Often when I start drawing something without a plan, I lose motivation halfway through because I want to do something complex. Something with many details or a lot of perspective. And I didn't want to fall into that same trap again. I only created a very basic pose. And I put her hands behind her back. On the one side to make her appear timid, but also because I tend to do complex poses with arms and hands. So I wanted to spare myself the hassle. And I picked a girl because drawing girls is just easier for me. I suppose this is because most of my OCs are female, and thus I have more practice drawing women. And I wanted her to have long hair. I like having long-haired characters because having hair flow nicely is an easy way to make the picture look more interesting. Plus, I really need hair coloring practice. And for some reason, I really wanted to draw flowers. I was thinking of a tropical vibe, with pastel colors, a strong sun, and just general paradise flair. So I created her clothing accordingly and added a very simple background with flowers based on some tropical flower references I found on the internet. I didn't want to draw super realistic, just get some inspiration from colors and forms I could use. And I didn't want to commit to a full background. Just something in the back, making her look a little more interesting and add to the tropical paradise idea. I didn't really think I would add something more to the back besides the flowers. Just a plain white, shiny backdrop. But this will change later, at least to a degree. As you see, I didn't spend much time on scribbling. I kept everything simple, and because of the keywords, I had a relatively clear picture in mind, at least in terms of the girl and the flowers. So I added the outlines. I know many people don't like drawing outlines, often skipping them entirely. But as a comic person, I really enjoy making outlines. Besides scribbling the composition in the beginning, creating the outlines is my favorite step of the process. It is just so calming and relaxing. And the progression jump from scribble to outlines is just so big, which makes it super satisfying to me. But I know that not everyone shares this sentiment, and that is okay. But this is why I will always use outlines, at least for characters. I even think about using a cel shading style for the video games I plan on creating, because I love it so much. But this is a topic for another day. After the outlines, I added the base colors. Since I wanted the girl to look a little Southlandic, I wanted to give her a slightly darker skin tone than usual. I also wanted to practice this a little, as most of my characters are very white, and I knew directly that I wanted her hair to be brown. As a contrast, I decided to have her clothes bright yellow and make her eyes purple. For some reason, I like the purple eyes with brown hair combination. I also gave her a small flower brooch into her hair to follow the keyword. The original flowers I looked up as a reference were white, yellow in the middle. But I wanted some other color range for the background, so I landed on a pastel pink and green for the leaves. since I added outlines to the background, it was already quite noisy, so I didn't add a color gradient to the flowers or patterns. I kept them all the same color. At this point, I was still planning to leaving the majority of the background white. After filling in the base colors, I added some basic shadows. I'm still experimenting on how I want to do them. Many years ago, I had a phase in which I was trying to grow into semi-realism, but on the other hand, I love dark, clear outlines so much, and both don't fit too well together. After my years-long drawing break, I kind of unlearned the semi-realism again, and my style felt like it regressed. I am currently trying to relearn it again and finding a mix of semi-realism and dark outlines that work well with each other and that I can also achieve. This is the main reason why my lighting and shadows always look a little different from picture to picture. I'm also not happy yet with my brushes, and I'm continuing to try out new ones. I think my outlines look a tiny bit too clean. But maybe this is a good thing if I want to go into more of a semi-realistic route. Still many questions to find the answers to. But in the end, finding these answers is the whole point of this journey, am I right? For anyone who wonders why she has such a surprised facial expression, I always try to capture my characters in a moment. I don't want it to look like they are posing for a photo or something. I want my art to feel like it is a glimpse of someone's eyes looking at something or someone. So even if my characters are looking right into the camera, I always try to give them an impression as something just happened to them. In this little scene, the flower girl wants to actually pose for a photo, but suddenly, out of nowhere, a flamingo comes running at her. Just like a madman. Just as the photo is taken, she recognizes the bird and is startled, getting ready to jump out of the way. I know that I could have made a way cooler, more dynamic picture with an upwards shot from behind her, where she's just turning, starting to just run, with a flamingo in the back jumping at her. But remember what I said in the beginning. I want to keep it simple. Take out the pressure, just draw without much thinking. I don't want another half-finished picture in my repertoire, so startled gaze to the side it is. I also know that I'm very inefficient with my lines and colors. I was also not very smart setting up my layers this time. I really didn't think much about all of this. To be honest, I wasn't even sure if I would make this a video, or if I would even finish this piece. So I took all of the pressure out, which resulted into me just, drawing here and there, la 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 la, going over everything 5 times. But it was surprisingly fun. But it took me also 2 sessions in the end to finish it. I did them within 2 days though, so I really felt motivated to draw, which means that my tip with the keywords actually works. You should try it out as well. After I was done with the hair, well, I didn't like it too much. It looked so plain. I was just done with the hair when I stopped my first drawing session, and I looked at it and was like, ugh, I don't like that. This is also why I thought I might not finish it. But the next day I was looking at my half-baked picture and was like, you know what? No, let's just revisit the hair and, work it out more. Without pressure. Just draw around in it until you like it or hate it even more. And this is what I did. Not that I'm super happy with how the coloring turned out, but I managed to fix everything, to a degree at least, that would have otherwise caused me to stop finishing that piece at all. And I'm happy about that. That feels like mindset progress, which in my current state is very important. At the moment, it is all about staying consistent, continuing to draw, and not falling back into the anti-creativity void. And I feel like I made a big step away from this hole, which I'm really, really happy about. Still a long way to go though. I like how I shaded the skin. I think coloring more softer surfaces plays into my strength. But when it comes to wrinkly clothing, however, I challenged myself with a skirt. Skirts and dresses are my weak point. as you can see here. I don't really like how the skirt came out, but I was also not sure how to fix it easily, so I accepted that I will not be able to really make it look good. I think I will soon look into a clothing tutorial or something. In theory, I know how wrinkles and physics work in that regard, but for some reason my shading always looks kind of bad. It is maybe because of the brushes I use and how I think clothing really benefits from texture. And my pictures don't have much texture. In my comics, I use scribbly lines to emulate texture, and that works really well in my opinion. But you cannot really do the same with coloring. For color, you need to use the proper brushes to get the same effect. So I'm pretty sure this is where I need to step up my skill. Or I just need to use more color grading, add more different shades, use more bounce colors with the shading, etc. Maybe I will share my learning in a video, but I also might do it off screen. Let's see. I really like coloring metal though. Surfaces that are clean and shiny are so satisfying to color. I also need to start using bigger canvases again. I used to work on bigger ones, and after my drawing break I stopped for some reason. And as a result, the lines get pixely very fast when zooming in. Not sure why I still do that. Something that stayed fairly consistent over the last months is how I color the eyes. Besides an intense glare in the pupils, I mostly do it the same way over all the last weeks. And I still like it. Shocking, I know. So, at least one thing I learned and like that I can keep up. Maybe I should just draw a lot of eyes the next time I lose motivation to draw, to create some success moments. For the flowers, I kept the coloring and shading very soft. I was thinking to blur them a little, and due to the outlines it was already quite noisy in the background, so I just wanted to give them a little bit of shape with the shading. Originally I wanted to give them more texture, but for the reasons stated, I dropped that idea again. This is also something that I might do as a video at some point. Studying different kinds of flowers. I really love plants. I'm not the best or most experienced with them, but for me it is very important to live with some greenery around me. I have a lot of room plants, and I also enjoy drawing them. Same goes for trees. They have so nice shapes and colors, and they are so flowy and diverse. Might be worthwhile to dive into this a little more and learn something from nature. By the way, in case you wonder where I took the clothes design from, I didn't use a reference or anything. I just drew the shapes that I wanted and connected them in a way that would physically make sense. As I'm often drawing fantasy characters, I often just draw clothing from my head. I actually enjoy clothing designs, which might be apparent from the amount of character design videos I created over the last months. Designing clothing is really fun. Defining the shapes, the materials, and giving the characters who wear them some background and lore with them. A really satisfying and creative process. At the end of the illustration, I was thinking again about the background. As I stated earlier, originally I wanted to keep it white. But after her coloring, I didn't like the idea anymore. It didn't look right, so I wanted to add something simple that would support the tropical vibe, but wouldn't take me hours to make. So I just started with some colors, then I added some more depth to the character, gave her more definition as she looked a little flat. And then I played around with some lighting and other shadows and colors. I wasn't searching for something special, just some experimentation to find something I like. Spoiler, I really like the color dodge effect. I need to play around with it a little more. The sunlight effects and overexposition it creates is something I really enjoy, so I need to work out how I want to use it consistently. At this point, an idea formed in my head to add a more complex lighting than I originally intended. But I hesitated to continue with this idea, so I first went into the picture again and added details here and there. And this took me a while. Besides the outlines and the scribbles, I loved this step the most. Just adding small details here and there, adding lines, removing small pixels. I don't know why. It sounds tedious when you think about it. but for me the step is really relaxing and also time consuming. So usually I time box it, but not this time. I just took the time that I wanted and went totally overboard with it. At this stage, by the way, I also fixed the hair. As I said earlier, I really didn't like it, so I thought, why not fix it? And I added a lot of hair strains and played around with adding shadowy textures and so on. I really think it made a difference. I liked the hair way more afterwards. And the funny thing is, all this tedious work motivated me to add the complex lighting that I was thinking about. I wanted to add sun rays and some more color dodgy illumination, so I thought, sure, why not? If I don't like it, I can just disable the layer I put it on. I also felt like the empty background needed a small upgrade for this plan. I wanted to add something close to pollen to the background, something that would make it look more interesting, but also fit to the southern tropical vibe. So I checked my brushes and played around a little again. As I was happy with the result, I added all the lighting. I really went overboard with it. What can I say? I really like shiny things and color dodge. I also blurred the background here and added some more definition to the shadows that would fit the sun rays coming from above. And then I decided, I think this is enough color dodge, and called it a day. I think the last bit of just adding random pixels and lighting and strains and so on took me like 1.5 hours. But what can I say? I watched a horror let's play while doing it, and it was such a relaxing, cozy experience. And this is what art should boil down to. Creating a positive experience, enjoying the ride. Which is what I did with the picture. Go with the flow. It is not the best art I ever did, but I am a little proud on me for not giving up on it, really ending it and also fixing the parts that I actively disliked about it. Sometimes it's the small steps that matter. I know this video was a bit rambly, but I thought maybe it would be interesting for some of you to listen to someone's inner thoughts and monologue while they try to overcome Artblock. And to this effect, I will take my leave now. I hope I could motivate you to draw or to do other artwork. If you like this content and want to see more of it, feel free to leave me a subscription. And if you want to give me an algorithm boost, consider leaving me a like and a comment. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay healthy and comfy until we meet again.